and we still have a lot of more work to do.
He's teaching them that everyone has a part to play in that work.
You know, they're a part of the legacy as well as they continue to grow and learn and never forget where we've come from.
For Northern Kentucky student Sierra Blair, everyone has a stake in the issue.
How it impacts them, just not, the black students, the black people around, it impacts them too.
She hopes today serves as a reminder to all, black, white, man, or woman, to be kind.
We need to love each other more, help each other more, just come closer together. There's just so much in the world that can tear us apart. I think we all just need to come together.
And people from all different sectors of the community out here participating in that march today, just saying that we need to continue to follow those ideals of Dr. King. Reporting live from the Freedom Center, Marielle Carbone, 9 on your side.
All right, Marielle, thank you. And in Hamilton, dozens of people braved the cold weather for a day of service in honor of Martin Luther King Jr. Volunteers helped prepare the Hugs Community Garden for the 2020 growing season. They cleaned out boxed beds and removed the shrubbery.
I think we should all get out and honor Dr. Martin Luther King, so this is a good chance for us to get out and do things in the community and serve the community, which is why we're here.
Volunteers tell us the produce grown from this garden helps feed our neighbors in need. And this is just one of 10 service projects taking place across the state today, thanks to grants from Serve Ohio.
Turning now to the weather, and it was, the skies were okay, but boy, that temperature was cold.
Yeah, it was cold. In fact, I saw a wind chill this morning of about 3 degrees there this morning, and we bottomed out around 14, 15 degrees. Right now we're at 25 and our high was 28. Yeah, that is very cold for this time of the year, but we are going to see some improvement. The winds have already started to work in our favor, meaning that they're not as gusty as yesterday, but the slightest wind will give us a wind chill. You see our temperatures very uniform in the mid 20s. Right now it's feeling like about 16 degrees in Cincinnati. And when we go through the overnight, temperatures will fall back into the teens, but there is a nice warm up ahead. We'll talk about how warm we get and when our next rain chance arrives just ahead.
All right, Sherry, thank you. Tonight, the family of a woman killed in a crash in Over-the-Rhine is demanding justice. 24-year-old DeMaria Hood was killed when she was thrown from a car at the intersection of Vine Street and Central Parkway early yesterday morning. Cincinnati police say the driver of an SUV ran a red light and crashed into the car which Hood was riding. Hood's family says her smile could light up the room. They say they're still waiting for answers.
We just want justice. We just want you to face the fact that you took a life. You took a beautiful life. You took an angel from us. Yes. That we love dearly, and she loved everybody. She loved everybody. That's all I can say.
Well, police think alcohol or drugs were involved so far. No charges have been filed in the case.
Combating the opioid crisis, how one local group is helping to make sure your unused medications don't end up in the wrong hands.
The farm could see new owners by the end of the week. What the future holds for this popular event center in Delhi Township.
You're watching 9 on your side at 6.
A local group is pushing for better ways to safely get rid of unused opioids. The Kentucky Association of Nurse Anesthetists is starting the Opioid Stewardship Program. As part of that program, patients will get a disposal bag, which they will use to inactivate their medications and safely dispose of them. The goal is to make sure unused opioids are thrown away carefully and help stop misuse. The group says this is just one way it hopes to defeat the opioid crisis in Kentucky.
A popular West Side event center could have a new owner as early as this week. The farm in Delhi Township will be auctioned off Wednesday by the IRS. It's because the current owner owes $126,000 in back payroll taxes, and that's where bidding will actually start. The owner tells us that he has 6 months to pay the winning bidder after the auction if he wants to regain the property.
A local t-shirts featuring Fiona the Hippo, along with some nice friends from Down Under, are selling fast. Cincy Shirts is rushing to print more shirts which are benefiting animals affected by the wildfires, I should say, in Australia. They've already sold 8,500 shirts since our story ran last week. The shirts cost $25. If you'd like to buy one, we do have a link on how to do that on WCPO.com. Sherry.
And right now we're seeing some flurries around the region, but none here in the tri-state. Still, temperatures are going to fall. We'll talk how hard and when our warm-up arrives coming up after the break.
there's still more people out there that are entitled to benefits.
Some Vietnam veterans are finally seeing federal compensation for exposure to a toxic chemical. Next on 9 on Your Side, I sit down with one veteran who knows the effects of Agent Orange firsthand. That's coming up next on 9 on Your Side at 6. And before we go to break, I have a quick clarification on last week's Feedback Friday. A caller wanted to know what would happen if President Donald Trump was removed from office. I inadvertently included outdated information and want to make sure any confusion was cleared up here. If the president were to be removed through the impeachment proceedings, Vice President Pence would assume the presidency and then nominate a VP successor. That person would have to be confirmed by a majority vote of the two houses of Congress. You're watching 9 on Your Side at 6. It's been more than 44 years since the Vietnam War ended, and just 20 days ago, some Vietnam War-era veterans finally began to get compensation for their debilitating illnesses tied directly to the exposure of dioxin, otherwise known as Agent Orange.
So even though we've won this part, of the battle, there's still more people out there that are entitled to benefits.
Mark Moore works for Disabled American Veterans, or DAV, headquartered in Cold Spring, Kentucky. Aside from helping vets transition out of the military, their focus is to also help veterans file for benefits with Veterans Affairs.
I've been with the DAV for 11 years now.
And he and his team have watched so-called Blue Water Navy veterans be denied benefits and compensation tied to their service in Vietnam. The Blue Water Navy veterans are those who served on ships in the coastal waters during the Vietnam War and were exposed to herbicides like Agent Orange, and who did not receive the presumption status like those who had boots on the ground during the war.
The distance offshore depended on what target at which we were firing at any given time.
Rex Settlemore is a Blue Water Navy vet. He sat down with me 1 year ago, frustrated that the government was taking so long to pass legislation to help the sailors he served alongside.
But I had a very close friend who died from Agent Orange symptoms at the age of 55. He certainly did not die of aging symptoms. We were very close, served together on a destroyer off the coast of Vietnam for 9 months.
Had he always served out on the water, never made it to the mainland during the Vietnam War?
That's correct.
Starting January 1st of this year, the VA started reviewing claims tied directly to the Blue Water Navy Act, signed into law by President Trump.
If you were in during that era and you feel that you were exposed to herbicides, file a claim.
Mark says while the act spells out these water boundaries, shown in white, must coincide with a naval ship's war operations, veterans and their family members should file even if they served outside the boundary.
This act has drawn a mile, right, within a 12-mile radius, but it's a known fact that Agent Orange has been stored outside of Vietnam and even inside the United States.
Now, if you are a family member of a Blue Water veteran who passed away prior to January 1st of this year, Mark says you should refile the claim through the DAV. Having one of the 14 presumptive disabilities listed as a contributing factor on the death certificate could mean monetary compensation for their service and the ailments as a result of the herbicide exposure. All right, we want to express our condolences to the family of Korean War veteran Donald Kleinigers, who passed away last Friday. I profiled him in one of my Homefront pieces back in May. Kleinigers was 90 years old, and we appreciate his service.
We sure do.